Hi, I'm Lainey. I'm just gonna say it. I have Asperger's syndrome, or Asperger's autism in other words. It's a subtype of autism spectrum disorder, or one of the many types of autism. Autism is a learning and socializing disorder or challenge. Autism consists of being logical and literal, challenged at socializing, hyper-focused, and having sensory challenges. Autistic people will usually take things literally. Like, when you say, "It's raining cats and dogs," we'll probably have a funny picture in our heads. And maybe look outside the window. An example is when I was young, my third grade teacher couldn't handle my actions, and so she told me to take a hike. And so I left the classroom and never came back. At that time, I never knew what she meant. But nowadays, I don't take things as literal. But with autism, I'm still pretty logical. Like, when people start talking about the Bible and say Jesus can walk on water, I end up going into a deep, scientifically accurate conversation about how walking on water is impossible both physically and theoretically, but we're starting to go off subject. When communicating, autistic people tend to only focus upon what they like the most, and sometimes things that most people but I will understand. An example is if I talk to an artist about art, that guy and I would get along pretty easily. But if I talk about something he probably isn't into, like marching band, he'll mostly lose me there and the conversation would become pretty bland. So with autism, I'm sensitive to certain things, like loud noises, certain textures and or colors that make people with autism feel uncomfortable. So uncomfortable to an extent of having a great big meltdown. For me, I don't like loud, unexpected, and unfamiliar noises like sirens or alarms. Examples are things like air horns that blow right next to my ear. Like when the fire alarm goes off, it's like hearing nails scraping slowly on a chalkboard, amped up to 100. Anyway, like I said, I'm pretty sensitive to sound, and not to mention change. And as in change, I mean big change. And in big change, I mean the smallest detail makes the biggest difference. Change. So, let's move on. Okay, here's my favorite part of being autistic. Being hyper-focused. Being hyper-focused is like having the power of the Matrix, when you can see everything through something so simple. Autistic people have what I believe the power to see everything, even knowledge itself through things they like or what they are comfortable with, doing so much. Some autistic people like to think in pictures, others in words, some in music. For me, I think both in pictures and music. From that, I can find a way to figure out things I don't really understand. I can simulate myself in the finished product and hear a little tune in my head and listen to the whole song. The trouble is that I can't explain it normally to people fluently. Sometimes they get it, and sometimes it will take more than just one sentence to explain it. As I grew up, I learned how to control myself and my autism. Over time, I learned how to communicate and make friends, explain my feelings more properly, and understand things I don't at first sight. I still have my autism though. It's not a disease or anything bad. Controlling it doesn't mean curing it. Autism is just a unique way of learning, and I'm not the only one who has it. Satoshi Tajiri, the creator of Pokemon, is diagnosed with autism, and so are some other people, like Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, British singer Susan Boyle, and many more. Although, the person who I really look up to the most is autism role model and professor of animal science, Temple Grandin. These people changed not just my life, but the world around me. These idols were given a gift not many people recognize, and they use that to make the world of what we know as today. I sometimes think, what would Lainey be without autism? Will Lainey be normal, or will she not be Lainey at all? Will my creativity and love for art go away and never exist? Or will I love it in a different way? And as I thought, I found the answer. That Lainey will always be Lainey. Because autism is what makes me, me.